I thought Christmas Eve would be about forgiveness. Instead, my husband slid a document across the desk and told me to apologize to the woman he was cheating with or lose my job. He expected tears. He expected fear. I gave him one word, and by morning, his entire world started collapsing. Christmas Eve used to feel safe to me, predictable, warm, almost ceremonial. That night, snow was falling softly outside our penthouse windows, turning Manhattan into something that looked gentle and forgiving. Inside, the house was silent in a way that felt wrong, too controlled, too deliberate. My husband called me into his office just after sunset. He didn't look angry. That should have warned me. Robert sat behind his desk, hands folded, posture perfect. The same posture he used when making decisions that ruined people's careers without raising his voice. Between us lay a single document, angled carefully toward me, as if it were neutral, as if it hadn't already declared war. "Tonight," he said calmly, "you're going to apologize." I didn't respond. To Victoria. At the Christmas party, in front of everyone. I stared at the paper. My name was printed at the top. My salary, my promotion, my future, reduced to bullet points and corporate language. "And if I don't?" I asked, though I already knew. He exhaled slowly, like someone explaining something obvious. "Your pay is suspended. Your promotion is withdrawn. There are concerns about your behavior that could escalate if needed." Behavior, that's what he called it now. This wasn't my... The Christmas party had already started when I stepped into the elevator. Music drifted up from below, laughter, glasses clinking, the sound of people who believed the night was about celebration, not collapse. I watched the numbers light up as the elevator descended, my reflection staring back at me in the mirrored walls. Same emerald dress, same composed face. Anyone looking at me would have assumed I was fine. I wasn't. The doors opened onto warmth and noise. Crystal chandeliers cast soft golden light over marble floors. Executives mingled in carefully curated groups, smiling too brightly, networking even on Christmas Eve. The smell of champagne and expensive perfume hung in the air. I took a glass from a passing waiter and positioned myself near the windows, where the snow outside made everything feel distant and unreal. No one knew what had just happened upstairs. No one knew my husband had threatened my career an hour ago. No one knew he expected me to kneel publicly to save my job. "Linda?" I turned to see Jennifer from Regulatory Affairs. Her smile faded the moment she looked at my face. "Are you okay?" she asked quietly. "Fine," I said, because that word... Robert stopped a few steps away from me, just close enough that others could hear if they tried. "Now," he said quietly, his voice smooth, practiced. "Let's clear the air." Victoria stood beside him, chin lifted, lips curved into something that resembled sympathy but wasn't. Her hand remained on his arm, a silent reminder of where his loyalty lived now. "Linda," Robert continued, "you owe Victoria an apology." The words landed softly, but the intent was brutal. I could feel eyes drifting toward us, not openly yet, but curiosity was building. People sensed tension the way animals sense weather changes. "For yesterday," Victoria added gently, as if she were helping me, "the board meeting, you were harsh." Harsh. I had presented data, facts, consequences. She had presented ambition wrapped in buzzwords. But facts don't matter when power decides the story. Robert leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Do this properly," he murmured, "in front of everyone. Then we move on." Move on, as if this was a misunderstanding, as if humiliation could be erased with compliance. "I already told you, The room had gone quiet enough that I could hear the snow brushing against the windows. Robert was still waiting for me to speak. So was she. I felt the weight of the moment settle, not heavy, but precise, like everything had finally aligned. "I have something to say," I said calmly. The DJ cut the music without being asked. That alone told me how obvious the tension had become. Robert's expression softened, satisfied. He thought this was it, thought I was about to do exactly what he wanted. Victoria lifted her glass slightly, already savoring the victory. I didn't look at her. "I'm resigning," I said clearly. The word hit the room like a dropped plate. Robert's smile froze. "What?" "Effective immediately," I continued, my voice steady. "I've accepted a new role as managing director of our European division." Confusion rippled through the crowd. Murmurs started, low and fast. Robert laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "That position doesn't exist." "It does. It was approved by the board." His face shifted, confidence cracking. "You don't have that authority." Before I could respond, a familiar voice spoke from behind me. "She does." Everyone turned. My father-in-law stepped forward, calm, deliberate. The man who had founded the company 30 years earlier. The man Robert. I didn't wait to see how the room recovered after I left. The elevator doors closed softly, sealing off the noise, the whispers, the panic I could already feel building behind me. For the first time that night, I allowed myself to breathe. My phone buzzed immediately. Once, twice, then nonstop. I turned it face down. Outside, the cold hit my face like a reset. Snowflakes landed on my hair, melting instantly, as if the city itself was reminding me that nothing stays frozen forever. By the time I reached the car, my hands were steady. That surprised me. I drove without music, without checking directions, letting instinct take me to a quiet hotel near the airport, the kind of place meant for departures, not arrivals. Beige walls, neutral art, no memories attached. I checked in just before midnight. In the elevator mirror, I barely recognized myself. Same dress, same face, but something had shifted. I wasn't bracing anymore. I wasn't shrinking. I was done. In the room, my suitcase waited exactly where I'd left it earlier that day. Packed, organized, ready. Proof that this wasn't impulsive, that I'd known, long before Christmas Eve, that this moment was coming. My phone lit up again. Robert. London didn't feel like an escape. It felt like oxygen. The office was smaller than New York, quieter, filled with people who spoke carefully and listened fully. No power games, no politics disguised as collaboration, just work that mattered. For weeks, my past stayed where I left it. Then the emails started. Short at first, cautious, former colleagues checking in, asking how I was, asking without asking what I knew. That's when I realized something was wrong. The first call came from Jennifer. "They're investigating him," she said softly, formally. I didn't ask who they were. I already knew. Expense accounts, consulting contracts, hotel charges that weren't business trips, payments routed through companies that never existed before Victoria arrived. "It's bad," Jennifer added. "Worse than anyone expected." I hung up and stared out the window at rain streaking down glass. I felt no satisfaction, just a dull recognition, the kind that comes when something you warned about finally collapses under its own weight. Weeks passed. The board brought in outside counsel, executives stopped defending him publicly, Victoria disappeared from meetings, then from emails altogether. One night, my phone rang again. My father-in-law. 2 years later, I barely recognized the woman I used to be. Not because she was weak, but because she was surviving instead of living. London had become home in ways I never expected. The work was meaningful, the team trusted me, decisions were made based on science, not ego. Integrity wasn't something you defended, it was assumed. One rainy afternoon, an email slipped through my filters. The subject line was simple: "I owe you an apology." I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Robert had been in therapy, he wrote, said losing everything forced him to finally see himself clearly, said he had destroyed our marriage out of insecurity, not anger, that punishing me had been easier than admitting I was better at the work than he was. Victoria had left him months after he resigned. Once the power was gone, so was she. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't ask for a reply. He just wanted me to know he finally understood what okay had meant. I closed the laptop and sat quietly, listening to rain tap against the glass. For the first time, his words didn't hurt. They didn't heal anything either. They just arrived too late. Months later, I flew back to New York for one reason only: my father-in-law's memorial.